Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're located. This is Nick from Vintage Audio Hobby. I have a new video out for you. I'm here in my den, and I've got a comparison to show you between my incumbent here, my Harman Kardon HK-430, this beauty over here, and my Marantz 2220B, this beauty over here. I'll tell you a little bit about how this came about. I've had this set up now for a couple of years, where I have an amp selector and a source selector and some space in between here, and I bring in various units to test against my incumbents. My incumbents are, as I said, the Harman, my Technics SLQ2 turntable, and my Philips CD640, which you can't really see, but it's below here, and my Yamaha KX300 tape deck, and of course my Klipsch Forte 2s. This setup has been modded and customized to no end. I've got special diaphragms on the Klipsches. I've changed the crossovers and the cablings. The HK has been serviced. So is the Marantz, the Challenger, and all the units have been serviced except for the Yamaha. The Yamaha's stock. Everything else has been tweaked. The turntable has special insulation. So, yeah. As I said, various units come in and out to test against these. I had a Pioneer SX-440, which came in a while ago. I thought it was cute. It's the best way to describe it, because it's a bit sort of petite. It must have been very stylish for the time. But the sound was a bit the same. It was warmish, but it was smallish sounding. Pioneer SX-525 as well came in a bit better. Again, on the warm side. An Iowa tape deck and the F800. It was good, but it didn't replace the Yamaha, strangely, because it was a more expensive unit. Anyway, the latest edition is this Marantz, which came in a few months ago. It has a nice story behind it. It belonged to a U.S. serviceman. Bought it in the 1970s. Overseas, and gave it to his nephew after using it for 5 years, 6, 7 years. I don't know. It hasn't seen really heavy use, and it was in storage since. So this thing was stored for 30 years or something. I don't know how long it was stored for. Amazing. I mean, I opened it up, and it was like a piece of history. Completely untouched, completely unmolested. Took it to one of my friends, did the minimum service that could be done, so we replaced whatever was faulty or not up to spec, but not a full recap. So we left whatever was not bad yet. The same thing approach I've done with a Harman. So it was updated, but with a minimalistic invasion, let's say, of the mechanics. So these two receivers I'm going to compare today are fairly similar in their basic specs. Harman is 2x25 watts, standard type of receiver for its age. 2 sets of speakers, double tape loop, 1 aux, always the problem, and the radio, bass treble controls, and headphones. Marantz, the same kind of spec. The thing that sets it apart is that it has a mid-range tone adjustment, and of course the fancy Marantz dialing knob, and also a strange Dolby implementation in the FM. The thing that sets apart the Harman, as it's stated by its name, is twin powered. meaning it has a twin power supply. There are two transformers inside it. And actually the amplifier section is almost dual mono. It looks like a dual mono implementation, and they're known for very beefy performance. They apparently having two power supplies unleashes a wider sound stage, a better separation between instruments, or so people say. Anyway, it's advantageous because of that. It's also unique. There aren't that many. Harman made 3 models, I think, in this range. And there aren't many receivers from this era that are twin powered. I've seen a few. I've seen some twin powered amps. There's a Kenwood. There's a couple of Sansuis. And there's some Sanyo receivers, but I haven't seen too many receivers anyway that have this. This particular model I also chose because apparently it has a very good synergy with Eclipse Heritage series and whatever is high sensitivity and from that vintage seems to be true. It does perform very well. So it's been my benchmark as a vintage receiver for my setup. Other amps I've compared my previous amp, which was an Electro Companion ECI2. That was from the 1990s. It was a Class A amp, 2x50. I think the first 10 watts are Class A. In theory, an amp of much higher pedigree than this, but it didn't cut it compared to the Harman. I've tested a couple of Pioneers, the SX-440 and the SX-525. What else have I run through here? I've run a Denon, I forget the model name. And now I've got this guy. So the Marantz is a solid performer. It doesn't have, it has that warm sound. It's much more, if I was to compare these two generically, now we're getting to the sound comparison, I would say that the Harman is more analytical, more a middle of the road approach, whereas the Marantz is a very typical warm sounding receiver of this era. They're both lauded to be among the top low wattage vintage receivers, but the Marantz clearly has the warmer vintage type sound. They say you can listen to this for hours on end. It's true, but I can also listen to the Harman now for hours on end. It doesn't mean that it's brash just because it's more analytical. Going deeper into how this was set up, I used various sources. I have a CD actually on that I'll test later and show you guys. I hope it sounds. I hope the mic can convey some of these sonic differences. But I listened to various sources: CD, tape, vinyl, and also my streamer. I forgot my streamer's there, my Node. The Marantz does have a magic ability to tame all the more modern digital sources. It's an inherent trait because it's a warmer sounding machine. On the other hand, it doesn't have the ability to extract from them the level of detail and I think just high definition sound that the Harman can gather from those sources. So various things play either to its advantage or not. I chose CD to compare here because the CD sound is okay. Was okay for both units, so it seemed a fair comparison. In the setup here, I also spend a few minutes to sort of calibrate, to make the sound levels, comparable between the two, and also to choose tone settings that that would bring them together a little bit. If you notice, I don't know if the camera is close enough here, but there's a V shape with the Marantz. I've toned down the bass a little bit, 1 notch, and increased the treble 2 notches. Haven't touched the mid-range. And the HK has a flat treble, and I boosted a little bit. I would say the equivalent of 1 notch the bass. These machines do have different sound signatures. I tried to equalize as much as I could the playing level, I don't know how to say, between the two of them, both in volume and also in how much of the highs, lows, and mids they each had. And that will help to draw out, I think, the actual sonic signature differentiation, which is there. I don't want to say too much about it now. I'll play with this a little bit for you to hear, and then you can tell me if you agree with it or not, or if the sound just didn't or if the mic just didn't allow you to make that comparison. Be back in a sec. So, sound test 1. This is the Harman Kardon playing the Eagles. So, thanks for listening. I've got some more coming up now because the Eagles was a bit crunched up sound-wise. I don't really like that too much. I've got some more Chiba where they have nice, decent sound quality. I'll do some back and forth. And starting now with the HK.
Show shadows, just enjoy the ride. Stop chasing 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 shadows, just enjoy the ride.
Okay, so I hope that helped you get some sense of it. The more that you crank up the HK, the bigger this soundstage difference becomes. The HK expands quite a bit, even beyond the mid-level. It keeps on trucking until maybe 70-80% of its volume. Whereas the Marantz, the more you crank it, especially above the half point, it starts becoming flat. So that's the major difference, I think, between these two. They're both very pleasant. The Marantz is a perfectly fine amplifier. And for certain types of music, it may be able to outperform, in a sense, the Harman. If the music's not heavy on the bass and it's fairly instrumental and it's not a very analytical recording, it's possible it may sound great. But overall, for most genres, most volumes, for most types of music, and for most circumstances, I think the Harman is a keeper for me. Yeah, that's it. I hope you liked it. I hope I didn't tread on the Marantz lover's toes. It's a great machine, okay? But I don't think it's quite as good as the HK. That's all I have to say for now. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.